The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the tranquil beaches of Florida's west coast, for on the horizon a monster stirred, its fury about to be unleashed upon the Sunshine State. What began as a tropical depression in the Atlantic had transformed into a monstrous hurricane, its growth fueled by the very forces that gave it life. Meteorologists watched in astonishment as Milton rapidly intensified into a Category 5 storm, its winds howling at an astonishing 180 miles per hour. Across the state of Florida, a sense of urgency gripped the hearts of millions. Supermarkets were stripped bare as residents stocked up on essential supplies, their shopping carts overflowing with bottled water, non-perishable food, batteries, and flashlights. As darkness descended upon Florida's Gulf Coast, Hurricane Milton, a swirling behemoth of wind and rain, made its long-anticipated landfall. The once peaceful beaches of Siesta Key were now a churning cauldron of destruction. Siesta Key, a barrier island known for its idyllic beauty, bore the brunt of Milton's fury. The storm surge, exceeding all predictions, reached a staggering 13 feet, engulfing homes, businesses, and landmarks in its destructive embrace. The storm surge, a relentless wall of water driven by Milton's powerful winds, surged northward along Florida's Gulf Coast, inundating coastal communities. In Tampa, the storm surge flooded downtown streets, turning the bustling metropolis into a watery labyrinth. The anxiety in Tampa Bay was palpable. Hurricane Helene, a mere 2 weeks earlier, had left its mark on the region, a calling card, almost a warning shot from Mother Nature. Governor Ron DeSantis, his face etched with a gravity that mirrored the impending crisis, addressed the people of Florida. "There will be fatalities," he declared, his voice resonating with a somber certainty. Across Florida, a mass exodus was underway, a desperate flight from the fury of Hurricane Milton. The highways, transformed into arteries of escape, were choked with a seemingly endless stream of vehicles, their headlights cutting through the growing darkness like beacons of hope. As if the stress of evacuation wasn't enough, a new crisis emerged, adding another layer of anxiety to the already chaotic situation: fuel shortages. Across the state, gas stations were running dry, their pumps falling silent, their tanks drained by the relentless demand of a population on the move. As the first rays of dawn pierced through the receding storm clouds, a scene of utter devastation unfolded across Florida's Gulf Coast. Hurricane Milton, having spent its fury, had finally moved on, leaving behind a trail of destruction that stretched for miles. The receding tide reveals the true cost. As the floodwaters receded, revealing the full extent of the devastation, the true cost of Hurricane Milton began to emerge. It was a grim accounting, measured in shattered lives, lost homes, and billions of dollars in damage. The storm, a brutal reminder of nature's awesome power, had left an indelible mark on the Florida landscape. Search and rescue teams, their boots sinking into the mud and debris, fanned out across the affected areas, their grim task to locate survivors and recover the bodies of those lost to the storm's fury. Stories of heroism and heartbreak emerged from the wreckage. Neighbors helping neighbors, first responders working tirelessly amidst the devastation, families grappling with unimaginable loss. The economic impact of the storm was staggering. Businesses, large and small, lay in ruins, their livelihoods washed away by the floodwaters. Tourism, a vital engine of Florida's economy, ground to a halt as hotels and resorts closed their doors, their once pristine beaches now littered with debris. The road to recovery, everyone knew, would be long and arduous. Like a bomb went off. Survivors recount Milton's wrath. Survivors of Hurricane Milton, their voices trembling with a mixture of shock and disbelief, recounted harrowing tales of the storm's fury. Their stories, a testament to human resilience in the face of unimaginable adversity, painted a vivid picture of the terror that had gripped the region. "It was like a bomb went off," said one woman, standing amidst the wreckage of her home on Siesta Key. "The wind was howling, the house was shaking, and then the water just came rushing in. We barely made it out alive." Another survivor, a young father, described huddling with his family in a closet as Milton raged outside. "The kids were terrified," he said, his voice breaking. "We could hear things breaking, the roof ripping off. I thought we were all going to die." Their stories, echoed across the affected areas, were a stark reminder of the human cost of natural disasters. Behind the statistics, the damage estimates, and the news reports were real people, their lives upended, their futures uncertain. Even as the initial shock began to wear off, the enormity of the task ahead was daunting. Rebuilding homes, businesses, and lives shattered by Hurricane Milton would be a monumental undertaking, one that would require a massive coordinated effort from local, state, and federal agencies, as well as the unwavering support of the nation. Governor DeSantis, his voice hoarse but resolute, vowed to do everything in his power to help Floridians rebuild. "We will get through this," he promised, his words offering a glimmer of hope in the midst of despair. "We are a resilient state, and we will come back stronger than ever." The road to recovery would be long and arduous, but amidst the devastation, the spirit of resilience burned bright. Neighbors helping neighbors, volunteers streaming in from across the country, first responders working tirelessly, all united in a common purpose to rebuild their communities and their lives. The storm had tested their mettle, but it had also revealed their strength, their compassion, their unwavering determination to overcome adversity. As the initial assessments of Hurricane Milton's devastation began to emerge, a chilling comparison arose. Hurricane Katrina, the 2005 catastrophe, forever etched in the nation's memory, served as a stark reminder that a hurricane's weakening in wind speed as it approaches landfall does not equate to a diminished threat. In fact, as Katrina so tragically demonstrated, the opposite can be true. When Katrina made landfall along the Gulf Coast, it had weakened from its peak Category 5 intensity to a Category 3 storm. Yet it unleashed a storm surge of unprecedented scale, breaching levees, inundating New Orleans, and claiming over 1,800 lives. The devastation, both in terms of human life and economic impact, was staggering, reaching an estimated $190 billion in damages. The parallels between Katrina and Milton were unsettling. Both storms underwent rapid intensification, achieving monstrous Category 5 status before weakening as they neared the coastline. Both carried with them the potential for catastrophic storm surge, a threat amplified by the geography of the Gulf Coast. And both served as stark reminders that the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, while useful, does not tell the whole story when it comes to a hurricane's potential for destruction. The fact that a weakening hurricane can still unleash devastating impacts might seem counterintuitive. After all, common sense suggests that a decrease in wind speed should equate to a decrease in overall power. However, the dynamics of hurricanes are complex, and their destructive potential hinges on a multitude of factors, with storm surge often playing a more significant role than wind speed alone. As a hurricane like Milton approaches land, it interacts with shallower coastal waters. This interaction, coupled with the storm's massive size and powerful winds, pushes a wall of water, the storm surge, ahead of it. The geography of the coastline, particularly in areas like the Gulf Coast with its shallow waters and gently sloping shoreline, can exacerbate this effect, funneling the surge inland with tremendous force. Moreover, while wind speed might decrease as a hurricane transitions from a Category 5 to a Category 3, the overall size of the storm often expands. This means that a larger area is subjected to hurricane-force winds, storm surge, and torrential rainfall, potentially leading to more widespread damage, even if the peak wind speeds are lower. Section 3. A stark reminder and a call to action, reframing our understanding of hurricane risk. Hurricane Milton, like Hurricane Katrina before it, underscored the critical need to reframe our understanding of hurricane risk. Focusing solely on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale, while important, can provide a false sense of security. A hurricane's category does not tell the whole story, and a weakening storm can still unleash catastrophic impacts, particularly when it comes to storm surge. Public awareness campaigns must emphasize the dangers of storm surge and the importance of heeding evacuation orders. Coastal communities need to prioritize resilient infrastructure, incorporating building codes and land use planning that mitigate the risks posed by hurricanes. And scientists and meteorologists must continue to refine their forecasting models, providing timely and accurate information that empowers communities to make informed decisions in the face of these increasingly powerful storms. The sun rose on a Florida transformed. Hurricane Milton left a landscape scarred by destruction and a community grappling with the task ahead. The immediate crisis had passed, but the long road to recovery had just begun. As floodwaters receded, the true cost of the storm began to emerge. Yet, amidst the wreckage, a spirit of resilience flickered. Neighbors helped neighbors, sharing whatever food, water, and shelter they had managed to salvage. The long and arduous task of rebuilding shattered lives and communities had begun. Hurricane Milton, like so many powerful storms before it, served as a stark reminder of nature's raw power and the inherent vulnerability of human communities in the face of such forces. It underscored the critical importance of preparedness, the need for resilient infrastructure, and the vital role of scientific understanding in mitigating the impacts of extreme weather events. The lessons learned from Milton, etched in the scars of the storm, would shape the future of Florida and serve as a call to action for coastal communities worldwide. One of the most profound takeaways from Milton's wrath was the need for enhanced public awareness regarding the dangers of storm surge. While wind speed often grabs headlines, it is the storm surge, that insidious wall of water driven ashore by a hurricane's winds, that poses the greatest threat to life and property. Public education campaigns must emphasize the importance of understanding evacuation zones, heeding evacuation orders, and preparing homes and businesses for the potential impacts of storm surge. Moreover, Milton's devastation highlighted the urgent need for resilient infrastructure. Building codes must be strengthened to withstand the forces unleashed by powerful storms, incorporating hurricane-resistant windows, reinforced roofing, and elevated foundations. Land use planning should prioritize natural barriers, such as dunes and wetlands, which can help mitigate the impacts of storm surge and coastal erosion. Finally, Milton's rapid intensification, a phenomenon increasingly observed in recent hurricanes, underscored the critical role of scientific research and forecasting in preparing for and responding to extreme weather events. Investing in advanced modeling techniques, improving hurricane tracking and intensity predictions, and enhancing communication channels to ensure timely and accurate dissemination of information are all essential steps in reducing the human and economic toll of future storms. The storm had passed, leaving behind a trail of destruction across Florida. Hurricane Milton, once a swirling vortex of fury, had moved on. In its wake, a silence descended, broken by receding floodwaters and soft sobs. The air hung heavy with the smell of salt, mildew, and smoke. Siesta Key, once a jewel, now lay battered and bruised. Tampa Bay's waters, choked with debris, bore witness to the storm's power. Across the region, scenes of devastation were strikingly similar. Yet, amidst the wreckage, a spirit of resilience flickered. First responders, exhausted but resolute, continued to work tirelessly. Volunteers poured in, united in their desire to help and rebuild. The road to recovery would be long and arduous. The scars of Hurricane Milton would remain etched on the landscape. But the spirit of those who endured the storm would prove even more enduring. In the aftermath of Hurricane Milton, as the long process of rebuilding began, there was a sense that Florida had reached a turning point. The storm, a brutal reminder of the forces that shape our world, had left an indelible mark, not just on the landscape, but also on the hearts and minds of those who had weathered its fury. It had forced a reckoning, a confrontation with the delicate balance between human ambition and nature's power. The rebuilding effort would be about more than just bricks and mortar, more than just restoring what had been lost. It would be an opportunity to reevaluate, to reimagine, to build back stronger, smarter, more resilient. It would be a chance to honor the lessons learned, the sacrifices made, the lives forever altered by the storm. The memory of Hurricane Milton would linger, a cautionary tale whispered on the wind, a reminder that even in the face of nature's fury, the human spirit can endure. It would serve as a call to action, a catalyst for change, a reminder that we must respect the power of the natural world, even as we strive to shape it to our will. And so, as the sun rose each day on a Florida slowly healing, on communities slowly rebuilding, there was a sense of hope, a belief that even in the darkest of times, even amidst the ruins of shattered dreams, the human spirit, much like the resilient ecosystems of the Florida coast, possessed an extraordinary capacity for renewal. The cycle of destruction and rebirth, as old as time itself, would continue, but it would be a cycle shaped by the lessons learned, the sacrifices made, and the unwavering determination to create a future where humanity and nature could coexist, not in conflict, but in harmony.